make the strings.
Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Gotta lock it up. Oh my goodness. Dave, what is this thing? A car? A purple car. This is a purple car, right? You're a girl on Instagram that doesn't know what it is. This is a purple car. So this is David's Barney Mobile. Right? Is that what it is? Yeah. And Dave, tell me a little bit about this thing. What does this car and Niagara Falls have in common?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Waves.
Waves. No. So David, this is David's first paint job. He painted. He got a couple little runs right here, but they're not bad. He had basically the same ones right here, and he sanded them out, and then now they're all good. That's only like sanded in 1000 grit and just a smidge of compound. But I mean, overall, this thing turned out really good. What color is this thing?
It's plum crazy from the. I mean, I think it's
like a Hellcat color, or it's like.
It's just the this is like the RT color.
I think they updated it though, because I think it was like less metallic.
Metallic-y. It is a really interesting color, because it doesn't. I don't know. It's like really metallic-y, but it looks sandy, but it like looks nice. I don't know. It's an interesting color, but
the roof right here is this.
Yeah, the roof looks. Okay.
It's hard to see in the camera.
Yeah. It's like blue in the camera.
I mean, that laid out better than my damn paint jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, except for the run.
Maybe it's because you just pulled out the belligerent fire hose and just poured it on there. You just fire hosed it on there.
I gave it full send.
Yeah. So we're at the shop today, guys. Tonight, David was kind of painting. Well, he painted this thing yesterday or the day before when we were at the drift event, and then today he was painting this thing. He turned the damn wedding tent into like the Barney tent or something. Look at this. So anyhow, he base coated this and he got like a big old dirt thing in it. So he is going to sand that, and then everything was kind of being really weird because it rained a little bit ago. So it was really humid, and then the paint wasn't flashing off, so it was just kind of not drying. So we are going to be working on the Supra today. As you could tell, it is covered up, and if you guys could tell, it is night outside. But I went home earlier, hung out with Jamie and the baby, and we played around, and the baby Swiffer sweeps the floor and we went on a walk and did all kinds of stuff, and it was a good time. But now we're back down here at the shop. We're going to get some work done. And so one of the things that I've been kind of has been holding me up, or I didn't realize was holding me up, is because I didn't have subframe bushings for it. So I reached out to Sicky, and they have these awesome solid subframe and diff bushings, as well as some steering rack bushings. So these are some aluminum bushings for the steering rack. They basically go in between there and get rid of all, like a little bit of like slop out of the steering wheel. And these are the diff bushings right here. So these are just kind of a press fit. You pull out the stock OEM ones and put these guys in there, and then they're nice and solid. I watched a video online of like a Mark IV sub, like the diff in it, and like as soon as somebody's like putting it in gear, and the whole thing was just like tweaking like back and forth and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. And they also have these solid subframe bushings. So these replace your worn out bushings in there. I'm not sure if I'm going to install these tonight or not. We do have kind of a not a strict deadline. I mean, I don't know how many deadlines I've given myself, but installing the solid subframe bushings is kind of a process very similar to what you have to do in the 240s, where you kind of have to cut them out and then press them in. And I think the bushings in there are all right for a little bit. So we'll probably be installing those later this year. But if you guys aren't familiar with Sicky, they do sell like LS swap kits. That's typically what they're most popular for. Is like their LS1, LSX swap kits for 240s, 350Zs, I think RX7s. They did a lot of stuff with FD. They have headers, mount kits, drive shafts, a bunch of crazy stuff like that. So be sure to check out their website. I think they even have turbo kits now. And they are making Mark IV parts. You know, obviously the subframe bushings and a couple other things like that. But again, we're gonna go ahead, throw this thing up in the air. I'm gonna quit rambling. Was that a ramble?
I think I timed you at like 7 minutes.
We're at 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So that ain't too bad. That ain't too bad.
I know your viewers still.
Yeah, but now we get started. Now's the time when I don't talk.
You get started in T-minus 20 minutes.
T-minus 6 seconds. 5 minutes. Here we go. Alright, so yeah, you can see underneath here that bushing was missing out of this subframe and I completely forgot. And then this bushing right here, when you kind of wiggle the diff, it kind of wiggles. And it's just a factory stock subframe bushing, so those are pretty squishy no matter what. And then I think I lost one of the bushings for the top of this thing. So in general, just mounting this diff solid will be good. So we're gonna go ahead, pull this thing out of here, clean the bottom of it. Ty was like, what did you say?
I was what? What were we about to blame me for?
I was saying that you were like, who's ever gonna see that? And I'm like, how many people watching this video right now are looking at that like, damn, that some bitch needs cleaned?
Just show them this side then. Just like.
Well,
like,
that's
like,
there's
every
poop,
like
there's...
every girl on Instagram, like, get my good side.
Oh yeah, well, okay, we'll get the good side, but it's still like kind of bad. So anyhow, we're gonna go ahead, pull the diff out, try to get this thing out of here without pulling the subframe out. And currently the diff bushings are in the freezer.
Yeah, it's not long enough.
Yeah,
No, they'll get
We
cold.
should have put them there all day.
They'll be alright. They'll go right in. I got a hammer. Alright, so we got one of these guys out. We didn't Google nothing, we just decided to give her a try. And initially what we did is there's this metal lip, so we went around it with the air hammer, kind of pushed it in, ended up kind of cutting it off, and then we took the drill, the handy dandy drill, and you basically drill the rubber out from the inside of it, and then you get this nice little butt plug looking thing like that. Then what you do is you kind of air hammer that metal sleeve inside of itself, kind of like you're like folding a pizza or something. And well, this is the ring that comes off the top.
Until it spins.
Until it spins, and then you just, yeah. So this air hammer right here, it's like that Graviton guy, you know. But that's the real deal. That's a hammer right there. So I guess here we go. We're gonna rip my thing off.
Break your ribs.
Yeah, make sure you brace your drill against your legs. You don't break your wrist.
So Dave went ahead and installed the rear brakes finally. We're waiting on the little removing the dust shields, as well as like the hardware kit for the rear, the brake drums and everything for the inside. I went ahead and I did run the brake lines, the factory brake lines from the front to the back. You can see they fit up here in there, and then we have the, you know, obviously the bigger places for the fuel lines and stuff. So that was kind of a pain in the butt to get up over this thing, because I should have actually taken the subframe out. And as you can see, we got the Sicky subframe, or the solid diff bushings installed. So that actually wasn't too bad of a process. So I need to get this thing tucked up in there for the brake line going around, and then, you know, get them actually hooked up. So the other thing I forgot is I don't have rear brake lines. So I did get this, it's like an ABS delete kit, and so it goes right here, and I was looking on the instructions and there's no rear caliper, so it goes to the rear ports, but it doesn't go there. So this will complete the whole front end brakes and delete the whole ABS pump, but right here there is the little T thing, or the little junction that it needs to go to the back. So we're I might see if I could find some brake line stuff, or just order it from Summit and you know, get some custom braided lines, because these are pretty short and probably pretty cheap. But yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight. So we will be back here tomorrow and hopefully get a little bit more done. Alright guys, it is a new day. Dave painted some more stuff today, so we how do you like painting, Dave?
We need like a full like mask.
Did you get it in your eyeballs?
Yeah.
You weren't even painting the whole car.
Well, I mean, you gotta, when you paint the bottom and stuff, it like wants to push back at you.
Yeah. How do you think Mr. Timelapse is doing today?
Probably has a wood doing.
Probably not too bad. Alright, so Supra's covered up because David was painting things today. Well, it was down on the ground. So we're going to go ahead and officially mount the shifter, because that thing needs officially mounted. I think I need to take it apart and lube some things in there, as well as put the actual detent pin in that thing, and then we could put the drive shaft in, bolt that thing up to that little adapter plate. There was kind of a weird thing with the bolts. The bolts that I had, I felt were kind of too small for it, and then it has like threads in there too. So basically what I decided to do was go get a little bit different bolts. You can see this one has a bigger head. It's a little bit longer. The head fits in there, you know, a lot better. It's a lot bigger, and but it's kind of weird because there's like threads in there. So I don't know if they want you to thread it or they don't want you to thread it. But I'm going to drill the threads out because I got lock washers and longer bolts, and we should be good with that. So I'm going to go ahead, drill that out, and get the drive shaft ready to go. Well, I'm going to bolt this in, and then we'll get the drive shaft ready to go in. Alright, so this was a little bit more of a complicated process than I thought, but we finally have a shifter in here, and it's adjusted properly. So we have the reverse lockout. You can see that there's this thing right here, which is kind of holds the shift boot up. I kind of need to pull that up and kind of get the shift boot a little bit more locked in, and you can see when I go into reverse, it actually kind of touches the housing, or the shifter, or I could just go all the way to the bottom. But yeah, seems to work alright. It was kind of a pain in the butt. You ended up having to cut some things. There is a little bit of slop in it.
Bolt in the
I mean, other than that, it feels really good.
yeah.
I mean, I really like that. Like, it's like short, but it's like... So we ran into a new issue. So drive shaft fits perfect. That's all in here. And you can see this is like the big dog. This is like the 800 horsepower plus like steel drive shaft option that Collins has. But if you come over here, I'll give this a rotate. You hear that linkage thing that's basically it hitting the bottom of that shifter because it kind of hangs down. So it said in the description that it doesn't work with anything other than like a stock yoke, but we're gonna pull it down, see if we could grind anything and make it work. So we went ahead and grinded off that piece of metal that the shifter basically hooks up into, and then kind of took off the edges of these things, not making them so sharp, which basically made them like the tallest point. So yeah, basically pushing up and down, getting rid of any of the like smidge of clearance in there, like a little bit of slop, and pushing up as hard as I can. It doesn't rub it, so hopefully, you know, I guess we'll see what happens when you're like 5th gear doing a burnout on the interstate, if it decides to touch it or not. But hopefully at that point it'll just clearance itself. Yeah, diff bushings and everything are already installed. I went ahead and put some of these rubberized P-clamps around the fuel lines, basically in all the attachment points going over the subframe. Went ahead and zip tied these guys in their little zip tie spots, and then tied up the bleeder valve for the clutch system or whatever. So yeah, I guess now I could go ahead and install these front little bushings that go in the steering rack, the sicky ones, and then I'm not sure how much else I'll be able to get done tonight because I am kind of getting tired. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video. Last thing I did was went ahead and tapped, or chased the threads on that, and then ran that bolt in there so that's nice and tight again. I decided to not install the little sicky solid steering rack bushings right there, just because I think I'd have to actually pull out the whole rack and kind of like burn out the bushing type of thing. But we will be doing some more suspension stuff with this thing in the future, where I think it will kind of involve dropping out the rear subframe, and at that point we will go ahead and install these solid subframe bushings. So I do appreciate Sicky for sending these things out. Be sure to head over to their website basically and take a look at everything that they have available. Again, it's pretty quality stuff. Yeah, that is going to be it for tonight. We will come back tomorrow and try to get the whole front brake situation worked out. And I found some battery cable and stuff like that laying around here, so I might be able to. I don't know. I probably might as well just go ahead and start messing with the like the battery cables, hooking up the ECU. I tightened all the fuel lines and everything. So we could probably actually, start wiring more stuff on the car. So maybe that'll be tomorrow. I guess wish me luck. So thank you guys for watching, and see you tomorrow.